Alrighty. Very nervous right now.
You got this, Geo. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you. Hello. Mine's going about 1,000,000 miles an hour right now. Hello. I am probably Geo. I run various games. That's about all I can say about that. It's games from every imaginable franchise, truly. But this one's a special one because if you've seen a speedrun of Kirby's Dream Land 2, this is not gonna be any of what it looks like because there's very little usage of our good friend Rick the Hamster. However, this run revolves entirely around him. So we are going to pick up Rick in 5-2, or 5-2, geez, in 1-2, and we are not going to drop him. We cannot drop him. That is the rules of the category. We have to keep him through every single room in the game. If it's not already clear, it'll become a lot more clear as I go. So, if we're all ready, I'll give a countdown from 3 on go. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so as I said earlier, we don't get Rick until 1-2. So 1-1 is kind of the prologue for this game. There are a number of... Oops. Alright. Already off to an interesting start. There are a number of difficult movement strats, some of which are frame perfect in this first stage. However, we're gonna play it slow, and hopefully that quells my nerves a little bit. Don't know why I'm so nervous for this. I've already done this in a marathon before, but you know. This is pretty much how Kirby's gonna move. He only has one copy ability that actually affects his movement speed. And we'll be seeing that at the start of the next stage. Because we don't get Rick immediately, we have to go through a room and a mini-boss first. But here's our first copy ability. It is Burning. You press B and you shoot off as a little fireball. We're gonna pretend that I did that movement properly. It's fine. But this is our first mini-boss. There are a lot of these. One for each copy ability, specifically. This one is a freebie. He gives fire, and we are going to take fire. Specifically because, while that is a very low bar, it's the best copy ability we have access to right now. We could get Parasol, but Parasol's not very good. But now we have our friend Rick, and the thing to know with Rick is that Rick is not a very fast boy. His movement is... His movement's a little slow, and there's no way of speeding it up, either above ground or underwater. So, objectively speaking, in terms of movement, it is the worst of all three of the animal friends, and worse than Kirby since he has Burning to speed up his movement a bit. Additionally to note is that each of the animal friends have pretty forgiving hurt boxes, so... Oh, come on. While we might phase through some enemies, it's very easy to end up bonking on things. Like, you wouldn't expect that I would be able to get through that door damage list, but that's just how this game is. Right there was in that past room was a collectible that we aren't going to be getting any of, since most of these collectibles, it's not possible to get them with Rick. We're doing any percent with Rick. That movement's always really satisfying. Now, I've already somehow forgotten if I've mentioned this, but I did route about 95% of this category. So, really looking forward to show off some certain things and show off the extreme difficulty spike in World 4 and World 6. But right now, this is Wispy Woods, our first actual world boss. He gave me a very friendly pattern. You want as many apples as possible, since fire is a very low damaging ability. Pretty much all of Rick's copy abilities are very low damaging, with the exception of one that we will first pick up in 2-3. But for now, we are onto World 2, Big Forest. In the name of the game with Rick powerless, is you want to avoid inhaling or generally taking out as many enemies as possible. There are some that are just going to be in our way, and it's fast enough to where we can get past them without taking damage and it still being fast. But for the most part, we want to avoid as many of them as possible. And also in this category, there are going to be a lot of jumps under Brontoberts, like that. And generally jumping under most enemies. I'm going to spit that backwards to take out the Brontobert so it doesn't come back and bite me. And then we can damage boost through the last 2 mushrooms there. There's a lot of fun, unexpected things that you can do with Rick. Primarily having to do with his okay. I was about to say downright tiny hurt box, and then I got hurt. Right here, we're probably going to get hit. Yep, it's a very, very specific jump that you have to make in order to not get hit, but if you get hit, you can iframe through the Brontobert. And now we're down on 2 health, which is a little scary, but we get health there and in 2-3 as well. Well, that didn't quite work since I inhaled both of the enemies. Should be fine, though. Gonna do this to be safe. I know I can get in the door without getting hit, but it's a little finicky. Once again, another Rick hurt box moment. But 2-3 is where we see Rick's magic unfold. Truly, I brain farted there. That was a little interesting. Luckily, there's health later on in this stage, so I'm gonna play this first part pretty safe since I'm only at 1. And by the way, when I say we can't lose Rick at any point, if we ever run out of health on Rick, I have to soft reset because when your animal friend loses all of their health, it goes back to solo Kirby. So I gotta be real careful. That's Jumper Shoot. Jumper Shoot gives Parasol, which is a very bad ability. Sorry to all the Parasol fans. But yeah, as you saw there, Needle is rather insane. It takes out mini-bosses in 4 hits. So it is the highest damaging attack in the game. We drop Needle here, but we're going to pick it up right again, since this room and the previous room are just a little faster to do Powerless. So for every single world boss in this game, we're going to have Needle, just because Needle fast. He's up here. This boss is Naruf, very deceptively difficult to do with Rick, but he gave me a good pattern, so I reset too early, I think. So, yeah, I did. So, after every boss, you soft reset and it saves time. You soft reset when the enemy health bar turns into the score. I soft reset too early because I'm nervous. But that just kind of happens with this game. Almost got a 1 cycle there. Depending on the pattern, you can get 1 cycles on rough. But very difficult. Alright. World number 3, the water world. Let's see how Hamster interacts with water. The answer is he goes very slow. Unfortunately. But we love him all the same. That jump is just barely possible. And it's also barely reactable if that spring enemy doesn't jump. Yeah, a lot of jumps under spring enemies in this game as well. All of which are technically... You can technically react to them if they don't jump, but it's such a split-second reaction that you have to be real careful. Alright, new copy ability dropped. It's Rick's Stone, where Rick turns into a stone and Kirby is above him. In this form, the actual hurt box is not on Rick, but on Kirby. So we'll see later in 4.2 that Rick's Stone can be used to like pop the hitbox above Rick himself and take out some enemies that are above him, which is surprisingly useful in about 1 room of this game. But yeah, this next level we're gonna do what stones do, which is drop. Right here, we're gonna drop. And we're just in the middle enough to take out those enemies, but not get hit by the Gordo. Very important to do. Well, not very important, but it's important if you don't want to lose stone. Even though, I mean, you can drop stone after this room. It's not going to save you any time, but getting hurt's bad for morale, you know? Getting hit is bad for morale. I mean, getting hurt is pretty bad for morale as well, though. But we're going to drop stone here, jump over that guy. And since we have a boss in the barely foreseeable future, we're going to have to grab Needle. Not from that guy, though. We're going to have to grab Needle from here. And another thing that will be readily evident in the next stage is that Needle's hitbox is very, very forgiving. even though it comes out of Rick's back, which is a little inconvenient, but it's more than makes up for it in how forgiving the hitbox is, because it hits a little bit above and a little bit below you as well, but not like directly under you. So I have to be pretty careful, especially with those Bronto birds back there. Going in the water is just fine. We want to stay out of the water as long as possible, at least in that room. But next up is a room notoriously painful to most all Kirby's Dream Land 2 runners, and that is the frog room. These currents will push you in every which way, and if you don't take out these frogs, more than likely they will hit you. Luckily, with Needle and Rick, it's a complete breeze, but if you are playing any percent or just about any other category of this game, this room is really, really tough. Because with Coup Cutter, you have to line yourself up, and owls don't swim very well underwater. But we're not focusing on Coup. Who's Coup? We don't know him. We do know the boss, though. We're going to hope for good RNG here, which we got. Either the bottom star can spawn first, or the top star. Luckily, it was the bottom star, so I can do a fast kill like that. And now we head into World 4, which I know as the influence zone of the hardest level in the game. Well, not the hardest level, but the hardest strat in the game, which is one level after this one. We're going to keep Needle on us, even though the boss is behind us. But we can do a lot of fun movement without having to take out any of the enemies. I think that's our first propeller bomb, and what propeller bombs do is be mean. They will instantly kill your animal friend, no matter what health they are on. And that will be very relevant later on. I'm jumping about as far away from these penguins as I can get, so in the case that they do their ice attack, I'll have more time to react to it and hopefully just be able to jump past them. That's Blocky, the stone mini-boss. We're going to re-grab stone here since we have a vertical room. Go right down here. And then fall the rest of the way. Now Rick is going to roll down the hill. Some may call it a Rick roll. Nothing else to say about that. But alright, we have the hard part, and that is 4-2. I'm going to focus up for this because this is a sequence of two very difficult inputs, and the reason my estimate is so high. Okay. Alright. First try. The estimate could probably be reduced to like 47 minutes now. That's the big bad of this run. Getting into that door is very, very difficult because Rick bonks on everything, and the window to get into doors is actually somewhat difficult since doors are not like a full 2 tiles tall in this game. So that is a huge weight off my shoulders. Hopefully I'll be a little less nervous. Oh, I actually got down in time. That cutter enemy is complete RNG. Normally, if he does a fast attack, then I just immediately get hit and have to re-grab fire. But yeah, this is one of 2 places in the game where we have to have a copy ability. This one we have to use fire to melt these ice blocks. I used to think these blocks were metal, but I was told they were ice. And the spacing there looked very awkward because it was very awkward to hit all 4 at once. But luckily that's behind us now. Alright. This jump is... Okay, wow. I'm still nervous, as it turns out. We have a new mini-boss upcoming, and a new copy ability. This is Mr. Frosty. You've probably seen him in a number of Kirby games. He gave me a slow pattern, so... Okay. Inhaled the double star anyway. He gave me a slow pattern, but that's... all good. So, our new copy ability of the day is Rick Ice, and... the thing to know about Rick Ice is that it's bad. It's bad, but we have to use it. Basically, you can hold it for about 1/3 of a second underwater. The ability itself is pretty much the same as Kind Ice, just worse. With Kine, you can move around with ice while it's activated. That's unfortunate. You can move around with the ice while you're holding the attack. However, with Rick Ice, you cannot do that. It instantly kills your momentum in and out of water. Okay, that was unexpected. Normally that jump is just fine. I re-grabbed ice there just for that enemy, pretty much. And this one. But ice will be very relevant later in the run in World 6, which is definitely, objectively, the hardest world in this run. Alright. 4-4, we have another little mini-boss fight. Gonna hit him 4 times. Okay, he gave me a good pattern. He's gonna fall back down to the ground, and we can combine for a double star and take him out. Oh. Now we can take him out. This is one of the Kirby games where you have to take out the corpse of the mini-boss in order to advance to the next room. But now we have a pretty simple little auto-scroller, so if the host would like to chime in with anything, then this is a perfect time.
I heard we like auto-scrollers. You caught me in the middle of taking a sip of water. Stay hydrated though, chat. So, I would like to encourage everyone to donate, of course. You can visit donate.midwestspeedfest.com to donate, or for an easier link to that, type !donate in the chat. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about who we're raising money for if we can. Midwest Speedfest Fall Frenzy is supporting One Iowa. One Iowa seeks to improve the lives of LGBTQ Iowans by protecting and advancing equality and inclusiveness throughout education, improving workplace culture, and increasing access to quality healthcare across the state of Iowa. I'm not even from Iowa, but I actually have worked in schools for the past couple of years. And, you know, some of the things that we've seen in Iowa have been, you know, a talking point of something we want to make sure that we can improve for them. So please consider donating. Back to you, Geo.
Thank you very much. So, one thing of note that happened... Oh, this is Ice Dragon, by the way. He's going to be on screen for about 5 seconds if I'm not bad. He's done, though. Alright. One thing that happened in 4-4 is the first... I think it's the first time that breakable blocks are seen in the game, where you have to stand on top of them and wait for them to break. Unfortunately, all the animal friends, none of them can fit in one-tile gaps. And with the breakable blocks, you can only break one of them at a time. So you have to basically, if you're falling down onto breakable blocks, the optimal way of doing things is to walk between both of the blocks. I don't know why I grabbed the health. Is to walk between both of the blocks as fast as possible in order to progress faster. And that will be a lot more relevant in World 6. But for now, though, we have a new copy ability. We have Rick Spark. This is very similar to the Beam ability that you might be familiar with in newer games. And what Spark does is shoot a beam. It's a little weird sometimes if you use the ability while moving downwards, because sometimes with the combination of you moving downwards and the actual beam itself moving downwards, if you're trying to break a block, you can just kind of skip over a block sometimes. So that's just a thing that happens. Gonna try and avoid this RNG. Okay, I bonked. I tried to correct and try and adjust for potential bad RNG, but I just bonked instead. Alright. That's gonna be the last of Spark we see until 5-5. And then past 5-5 we won't see it at all. But for now we have Needle, and we're gonna try and race these Bronto birds. Hopefully these spring guys give me a pattern. Alright, good pattern. Right here, just barely sneak by and right into the door. Wow. Awesome. Really hard to do. Alright. Alright, now after exactly one mini-boss we drop Needle and get another new copy ability, which is Cutter. Now, Cutter's a little weird. This is the only room we're gonna have Cutter. Okay, well, I kinda lied. We're gonna have it for the first room of 5-3 as well. But Cutter's a little weird since the hitbox of it is very finicky. If an enemy is only one tile tall and is on the ground, like on the ground that Rick is standing on, you have to get right up next to it in order to take it out, or else you have to use like the the comeback of the boomerang here. This is also further proof that this is canon lore, of course. In the Kirby Right Back At Ya anime, Rick was Australian. This is further proof of that. And that block wall is the only reason we pick up Cutter. Not even joking. I don't know if it's any faster or if it takes about the same amount of time, but it's a unique copy ability that we get to use. So I'm more than happy to include it in my route. The more the merrier, they say. Now 5-3. Another level with treacherous pits. That's kind of the theme of World 5. I think the name of the world is just Canyon. I'm not too sure. But more water, more pits, and more weird jumps, like this one, where you have to jump between the eels. It's only 1 tiles, and I said earlier that Rick can't fit in 1 tile gaps, but he can sure stand in 1 tile gaps without getting hit. KDL2 moment, that's all I have to say about that. Okay, the Broom Hatter went to the left. I'm not sure if that's RNG or not, but it means we have to wait on him. Alright, and this propeller bomb. If we jump on this slope, we're completely fine. But in earliest routes of this game, it would take anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds to lure the propeller bomb out of the way so that it wouldn't hit you. And then I learned that you can just jump on the slope. So, free time save. This next level also has a pretty mean propeller bomb, but first we have to outrun some more Bronto birds that are very slowly gaining on us. But it should be no problem, since slopes do give us a slight speed boost when we run down them. If we do a full jump here and land on the platform before the propeller bomb will always go straight up. Wow, that's so mean. Okay, this is Captain Stitch. I'm not going to be able to one-cycle him. Wow. That's about the meanest pattern I've ever seen out of Captain Stitch in this stage. Captain Stitch gives you Needle, but his main gimmick is that you can't hurt him until he attacks. So he either dashes against the wall or throws his spikes. And throwing his spikes, you get less time to actually hit him, which will be relevant in both of the other Stitch fights later in this game. But yeah, if you somehow lose Needle or have to use a double star on that fight, very convenient to just be able to pick Needle back up. Alright. So, one thing with Needle, once again, the hitbox moment, is that it can hit up to 2 things in front of him, 2 tiles in front of him, like right here. If you do really tight turnarounds, like right before that eel, you can hit the block or enemy that's directly behind it, which saves just a little bit of time, and this whole category is all about just like the smallest, most minute little time saves. Which is just... That's Rick percent for you. It's 4-2 and little time saves. That's about all there is to it. We're going to re-grab Spark here, and this is the only point in the run where this route converges with another route. Well, this route converges with either any percent or best ending. In this case, if you do the safe strats for best ending, which are now in the world record, which is cool, you'll lose 15 seconds, but in return you get to have Rick on your screen, and then you get Rick Spark and grab the collectible for this world. However, we're gonna drop Spark here in favor of a routing change that I came up with literally 3 hours ago. Instead of keeping Spark until the end of this stage, or rather until the end of the last room, we're gonna pick up Ice here. Should be 2 enemies away. Now, unfortunately, grabbing Ice makes things a little bit difficult to grab the tomato up here, but no problem. It's more of an issue if the penguin does the ice attack right in front of you. But yeah, Ice can hit below you, which is really convenient for this, and you can just go to the bottom of this room without even having to stop. Where with Spark, depending on the part, well, you have to at least stop twice. So, very, very small time save, and very handily, Needle is right at the end. Just in time for Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. In every other category of this game, except for the safe route of best ending, this boss is really, really hard. But Rick Needle go burr, and it does his Rick Needle thing and deals a lot of damage. So we can move swiftly past that and into the hardest world in the game. Now, I said earlier that 1-1 was kind of like a prologue into the rest of the run. 6-1 is kind of just your intro into the rest of World 6, which I would say World 6 is about as equally hard as the rest of the game. Might be a hot take, but I think so, at least. Because there are a number of enemies that if they do the wrong thing and you don't react to it fast enough, in this room specifically, you just get hit off an edge. Gonna hope to get hit to the right here. That's all good, that happens. Yeah, like if you don't do a completely full jump there, that cutter blade will hit you right into the void and you have to soft reset. Just random stuff like that, just... World 6 it doesn't play around. In this category or in really any other. Oh gosh, come on. And now 6-2. 6-2 is going to be the start of our ice escapade, where we keep ice for 3 whole levels. And I said earlier that ice is kind of bad, which I still stand by that, but it has one very helpful feature in that it's pretty much the only ability that Rick can have that hits above him. Well, okay, while Needle and Spark can technically do that, you can't hold either of them. It's just a one-and-done attack, so right here it's really helpful just to hold down B and ice whatever's in your way, since it's an insta-kill on any small enemy. Yeah, the final room here. I've somehow managed to get hit in this room despite the fact that the route is to jump 3 times, and that's it. But if you do lose ice at any point in this, between now and 6-5, you have to go back into 6-2 and lose about 15 seconds. Alrighty. Now 6-3, the big deal with this stage is the wind donut. I'm getting a little ahead of myself since it's one long room away. But the wind donut, it's about what it sounds like. It's a room that's shaped like a donut, well, technically shaped like 3 donuts, that has wind that always moves you either clockwise or counterclockwise. And there are these 3 block tall gaps that you have to somehow squeeze yourself in. Nope. I always get hit on the last frog for some reason. But yeah, here's the wind donut. There's wind, and here are the 3 block gaps. And this was the main reason we decided on keeping ice for this, for pretty much this whole world. Because you do a 1, 2, 3, and right when that 3rd block breaks, you have to stop holding ice and then hold in to be able to make it into the next donut. If you don't have ice, I think the next fastest ability still loses like 30 seconds or something like that. But yeah, a rather punishing room, even if you just mess it up with ice. You have to go all the way back around at least half of a rotation, if not a full one. Luckily, this room gives you a bit of a break after all that. Normally you would have stone here, and stone is faster for this room, but we have to unfortunately keep ice for a little bit longer. Because it gives us not even the guarantee, just the capability to 2-cycle an upcoming boss. It's going to be the return of Captain Stitch. Oh, jump, jump. Alright. Getting past those enemies hitless is not the easiest task. But this first room, I like to say, it's all to lull you into a false sense of security. Because not only is the boss that you have to fight Captain Stitch objectively the hardest in the game, but the battle arena that you're in is only 4 blocks tall. So we're going to stand about here. Oh my gosh, he gave me good RNG. Okay. Hit the ice block back at him. We're going to hit him until he's at 5 bars of health. Oh, yep, I miscounted. Can you count to 5? The answer for me is no. Okay, wow, he gave me a really good pattern here, and thus we secured the 2-cycle. So that, I'm at a loss for words, evidently. But there's yet another way which ice gets to shine. and it goes back to the ability for ice to hit above you. Technically, you could also do this last room with Parasol, but I think it still loses time. But yeah, look, there's a bunch of these blocks that you have to break, pretty much. If you try and do this powerless, you have to inhale and spit out each and every one of these blocks, which loses time, because you can't swallow them because there's no floor below you. So, having ice there saves about 1.5 minutes over powerless, and probably close to 45 seconds over Parasol. And having said all of that, the worst is still yet to come, because 6-5 holds the, in my opinion at least, the second hardest strat in this game, at least the most nerve-wracking. Because with 4-2, there is an albeit very hard backup, but a backup nonetheless. If you mess up in the next room of 6-5, you just straight up have to soft reset. Oh gosh, I have to get off this block. Yeah, this entire first room is made of these breakable blocks, so you gotta move fast. And like I said, with Rick not being able to fall into one-tile gaps, it's very important to switch between the blocks and do it in a manner where you're very efficient at doing so, because there are 6 of those platforms that you have to go through. Luckily, mine went pretty well, at least in my opinion. We have more turnarounds, and I guess I'll explain the reason that the next room is so scary. I mean, you'll see, but this is just, it's better to get it out of the way so I can focus up a little bit. This room has wind, and it launches you to the left if you jump too high. And unfortunately for us, the only time that we technically need to jump are these platforms with breakable blocks. That jump was really high. I don't know how I didn't get hit. Yeah, and then there's a strat that you do right there where you just hit yourself to the right and iframe through the last Waddle Dee. But if you jump too high and get launched to the left, it loses upwards of, I think the number I found was 98 seconds. So yeah, not everything in this game, believe it or not, is made for Rick, as evidenced by that in 4-2. In 4-2, the intended route is to get Ku from a mini-boss fight. And if you run Best Ending, you're probably familiar with an easier version of that jump, known as 4-2 jump, where you just have Kirby and just have to jump, instead of having to jump and time a stone input. So, yeah, not everything is built the way speedrunners want it to. The way speedrunners want things to be built, yeah. Also, for the record, if I get hit at any point in this stage, I lose 15 seconds, because I will have to go re-grab Needle from 6-5. Which is going to be very scary, because if the 3-3 frog room was you, the 6-6 frog room is the guy she tells you not to worry about, because this room is terrifying, because depending on how fast or slow you go, you could just be on a horrible cycle with the frogs and they could immediately dash at you. Like right there, that was very close. Oh my god, why was he so far to the right? Okay, all good. We didn't get hit. That's all that counts. That room is just always terrifying, marathon setting or not. But we can run off here and right into the door. The reason I spam B throughout that upward wind section is because it's faster to do that with Ku, so I've just adopted the muscle memory of doing that with whatever animal friend I have at the time. Now the boss of this world, come on. Okay, come on. Good RNG. Oh man, okay. He was at least close to the middle, but he gave me bad RNG in that he ducked down under 2 hits both times. If at any point he decided not to do that on either cycle, it would have taken one less pop-up, I guess you could call it, for Krakow Phase 1. However, in general, that time save is nothing to complain about, because if you're trying to do that fight with Ku Cutter, which you have to do in any percent, that fight is really, really bad, but like with most other bosses, Rick Needle makes it pretty trivial. And speaking of bosses, we're in World 7 now. World 7 is, the main gimmick of this world is that there's going to be a mini-boss at the end of every stage. So for the entirety of this world, and subsequently the rest of the game, since this is the last world, Needle is going to be the only copy ability that we're going to have. Okay, I forgot to do a full jump there. That was almost scary. We because you cannot re-grab Needle in this stage, so I probably would have just ended up soft resetting. And the other gimmick of World 7 is the fact that the levels are flipped. Why was that Waddle Dee there? Okay, sure. So this auto-scroller in 7.4 is going to be moving to the left rather than to the right. So 7.5 is a reversed clone of 7.2, and 7.4 with 7.1, and 7.3 with 7.6. And 7.7 is its own little fiesta. But yeah, there was the first mini boss, one at the end of every stage, like I already said. The World 7 in general is it's kind of like your test of strength at the end of the run. Hopefully I can despawn this fish. I didn't. Just feels like RNG sometimes. I do not know why it just doesn't despawn sometimes, even though it's supposed to. Aw, dang, I'm so close. Those two jumps are what I've coined the skill issue jumps, because if you miss them, it's a skill issue. I hit one of them, so I only have a mild skill issue. But if you miss one, it only loses a second. And now there is there's an RNG cutter enemy. I don't know how I've gone this long without talking about the RNG cutter enemies, because they've been in at least 3 stages prior to this one. But for most parts, since Rick can't speed up his movement, if a cutter enemy does an attack early, most of the time you just have to eat the hit and then move along with your day. And there are a lot of mean ones, the meanest one being in 6-1, the one that I jumped over. Alright, 7-3. We're going to drop Needle here since it's a lot faster to do this first room. Powerless. But we will be re-grabbing Needle at close to the end of the world-famous KDL2 pick-a-path auto-scroller, where if you pick the wrong path, you die. That's not a bit. If you pick the wrong path at certain points in this and 7.6, you will just straight up die. And also, it's important for me to be taking some of these jumps, like this one right here. I have to take them pretty tightly to that left wall because there is a propeller bomb in each of these 4 lanes. Yeah, right there, just off screen, that I have to be careful not to aggro because propeller bombs can fly through walls. Just another fun KDL2 feature. And since there are bosses, we obviously have to re-grab Needle. And there is some health here at the end. Yeah, one more propeller bomb to dodge past. Oh, please jump, thank you. Oh, hello. Another RNG cutter enemy. I was just talking about you. But yeah, this is the only really difficult mini-boss in this category, because if he runs like that, then he will do an ice attack where all that ice that he kicks up does have a hitbox and can sometimes just lag your game for some reason. But if you go behind him, most of the time he'll switch into a different attack, and most of the time that is the ice cube throw attack, which is what you want. However, sometimes he can either just not stop running, or he will just turn around and start running again, leaving you pretty much unable to do more than one hit. So we are now in the clone of 6-1, or geez, in the clone of 7-1. That's the only enemy in this game that I've not found a way around besides getting hit by it. I don't know why there's just one, and I don't know how it's that one. It seems like a pretty trivial one to get around, but I still haven't found a way yet. And here's the auto-scroller going to the left. The turnarounds here have to be really tight, because if you don't want to get hit and lose Needle... Wow, okay. Great timing. Great timing, am I just gonna die here? I should be fine. I run under you. Okay, well, I'm not gonna have Needle for this, since I was freaking out. But luckily, YU is pretty easy to do powerless. Oh, come on. Okay, or he'll jump over me, that's fine. Now we have to wait for more. Okay. We get it, you can jump. I can jump too. What a... Okay. Oh, brain just kind of melted there. Okay. We ran out of health with Rick, and thus we have to soft reset. Oh, this run was almost going smoothly. But now we have to redo the entirety of that stage. Oh man. That was... Okay, awesome. That's a RNG cutter enemy that I haven't encountered before. Oh man, this game is against me right now, I think. Just wants me to fail a little bit, but you know, that's fine. We will persevere. We will persevere past all the evil RNG cutter enemies. And, hopefully we'll do the auto-scroller correctly this time. At least, okay, let's look on the bright side. That gives me an opportunity to hopefully show off how that auto-scroller is done correctly. We'll have to see whether or not I actually do it right. But, you know, the possibility is there, and we're going to find out right about now. So yeah, like I was saying, a lot of tight turnarounds that you have to do in order to not get squished by the auto-scroller and also to keep Needle. Just like that. Once again, really important to get as close as you can to certain things. Get back here. I don't know why I tried to dodge under the Scarfy like I did last time. Whatever. We kept Needle. That's the important part. And why you gave me a good pattern the second time around. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Whew. Alright. Past that little road bump. Alright, 7-5. Once again, just a clone of 7-2, except this one actually has real skill issue jumps, and we have to actually take out the fish instead of dodging past all of them. Another little frog at the end. Frogs are your worst enemy in this game. Alright, 2 for 4, not bad. But these ones are the real skill issue jumps. Because this third one especially, very tight. Okay, like Kirby was entirely engulfed by that Gordo there, but I still didn't get hit. And now yet another difficult strategy that oh my, what am I doing? I can count on one hand the amount of times I have done this room without getting hit and without killing anything. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've done it. And if it weren't for that first Scarfy, I would have done it right there. But you know, one hit in that room, that's pretty good. I can't ask for a whole lot more. Alright, and 7-6, the return of the wind. We've really loved wind so far in this game. But this one's a little bit nicer, as long as I just don't randomly fall into a pit here. All the platforms are pretty nicely spaced apart, and they give you health. However, this jump is a little difficult, because if you don't time your jump properly, your jump input just gets eaten, and then you fall into the next Gordo, which, Jeez, sorry, brain melting again. If you get hit by any Gordo in that room, and your ability star goes to the right, you can't re-grab it, so you would be left without Needle for the boss fight of this for this stage. Which, admittedly, having no power for Captain Stitch isn't the worst thing, but it's still a pretty substantial detriment. So. Oh, this is the other pick a path auto-scroller, by the way, except you actually probably will die if you pick the wrong path. However, if you remember the path from the 7-3 auto-scroller, it's that, but the opposite. This one's up, down, down. Where the previous was was down, up, down, up. Okay, Stitch gave me bad RNG. If he does a spike throw, you can only hit him 3 times, whereas if he dashes into the wall, you can hit him 4 times. Oh, he's playing with me. Oh my gosh. Get down from there. What? Okay. That's another thing Stitch likes to do, is just run away from you and go into the corners where Rick can't jump high enough to reach. But you know, a 3 cycle could be better, but I'll take it. Especially since the best I could have done there was a 2 cycle. Alright, 7-7, the Tower of Terror, as one of my friends calls it. A lot of this level just in general is a little scary, because there are a number of places where you could just lose a bunch of health just randomly. Specifically 3 rooms from now. This Waddle Dee one is pretty simple. Same with the Mumby's room. But you have to keep Needle throughout all of this, which is a pain because all these rooms are vertical, and odds are if you get hit, the needle star goes all the way to the bottom. Okay, the Axe guys gave me good RNG, so I was able to get around it. Okay. 1 health here is a little scary. But we should be all good. Okay, we're all good. Okay. I said okay like 7 times there. All right. All right. With 7-7 completed, we're on the last level of the run. And here's where the plot twist happens. We cannot take Rick into the final boss because of the 1 tile gap. So bring out your 07s, bring out your salutes to our fallen friend. We're gonna have to take, we're taking on DDD for Rick. We're doing it on his behalf. And we're doing it with Needle because it does, because it's the ability that we had and it does, I think more damage than any other solo Kirby ability. I could be wrong though. Double stars are what we want. Him sleeping is also what we want. Time is gonna be soon. It's gonna be on last hit. Time. Okay. Whew. Man, sorry I was so nervous during all that. But, you know, 44, I'll take it. Pretty solid run. So thank you very much for everyone for watching and for muddling through me being nervous the entire time. Y'all are who I mainly have to thank. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me your support from behind the screen. Thank you to Midwest Speed Fest for putting this on and selecting me to be in their marathon. I'll give a shout out to the Kirby speedrun community as a whole. They're very inviting. You can find their Discord on thespeedrun.com for any Kirby game except for Kirby's Air Ride and Kirby's Epic Yarn. They have their own Discord servers if you want to join those. Shout out to Aiden MSE for convincing me to do my first speedrun after me just being a fan of speedrunning for a couple years. And the big thing I have to say with this category specifically, my PB is a 41.51, and I currently have a $50 bounty for anyone who wants to beat it. Anyone who wants to play Rick Percent and beat my 41.51. That is open to anyone and everyone. So if you have ever even considered running this game at all, now is the time, and Rick Percent is the category. So get to running, y'all.
Thanks very much, Geo. So where can we find you if we want to watch you after this event?
Oh yeah, so true. My Twitch is at probablygeo. I stream a number of things, not just speedrunning. I stream one of my more recent streams was me ranking Kansas City suburbs. So I do random stuff like that on occasion, but for the most part it is speedrunning. So if you want to see whatever game I've decided to hyperfixate on at that very moment, you can follow me there, twitch.tv/probablygeo. And also my Discord is the same thing if you want to ask me about Rick Percent or anything like that. Since this category is not on any leaderboard right now.
All right, great stuff. Thanks so much, Geo, for the run, and justice for Rick, right? We got to see Rick in a marathon, and a lot of him. All right, my friends, it is almost time for Sonic Mania, but of course we've got some setup still to do. We will hop over to a quick intermission. Stick around. Oh, and also, please donate for that incentive bid war. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second.